Political leaders talk about history a lot.
I believe that we have a righteous wind at our backs, and that as we stand on the crossroads of history, we can make the right choices and meet the challenges that face us.
75 years later, after the liberation of Auschwitz, I stand before you all as President of Germany, and I stand here laden with the heavy historical burden of guilt.
Еще раз подчеркну, что Украина для нас это не просто соседняя страна. Это неотъемлемая часть нашей собственной истории, культуры, духовного пространства.
Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights.
But no amount of money can reverse the harms that First Nations children have experienced or return the years of lost love, really, family, that was suffered through the separation from families, communities, and culture.
It's hard to think of any political issue today that isn't cast in terms of a long, historic struggle. But why? If you ask most people, they'll probably say that history is a record of what happened, a collection of events and facts. But if history is just a record of facts, why is it so political? To put the same question differently, why does history matter so much for the present? One answer is that history is a basis of our identity and self-perception. Whether we realize it or not, people are always going to identify as part of a long-term community, big or small, and this provides a feeling of belonging and shared experience. We all want to feel like we have roots somewhere. And without historical stories of the past or family recollections, we remain socially and culturally adrift. This also applies to political communities. Whether a political party, a nationality, or a civic movement, history defines what it means to be part of that community. So history fuels identity. And because questions of identity are so politically charged, just think of debates surrounding race, gender, sexuality, and religion, history is political as well. Consider the example of immigrants. They are often perceived as alien because they are considered as being outside of a shared national or cultural story. This is a massive political issue, but it is also a historical one, as the status of an immigrant group depends on whether they are considered separate from the dominant national history. A second answer to why history is so political is that historical narratives give legitimacy and power. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, think about it like this. It matters what society chooses to remember. It matters what stories people embrace and which ones they reject. One group can be favored over another for historical reasons. For example, it was believed for a long time in Canada that Europeans brought civilization and order. This gave settler efforts legitimacy, and from the settler perspective, it justified the oppression of First Nations. But historical legitimacy is a tricky thing. It can come and go over time. For example, in Germany, the Holocaust is commemorated to express national remorse and shame, but also to remove any legitimacy from the racist, nationalist vision of Germany that was endorsed by the Nazis. In that country, after a long and difficult process, society acknowledged its past and also shifted to, that is not who we are. In this, and all history, we must always take notice of who is presented as the hero, who is the villain, and who is the victim. These historical narratives are always changing, and they shape our present by laying out what is wrong, what is right, and what still must be learned. To wrap up our initial question, history matters because it fuels identity and confers narrative power and legitimacy.